Have you ever looked at another author's book or you looked at social media and then you started thinking to yourself, oh, I'll never measure up to that? Maybe their book looks really polished and professional while you're still staring at that messy draft on your computer screen. Maybe they've got thousands or maybe even tens of thousands of followers and you feel like you're just starting at zero. Well, if you've ever felt like that, you're not alone. And one of the fastest ways to lose momentum in your writing is falling into the trap of comparison. It is a trap. Hi, I'm Shonda Whitworth, and I am a Christian nonfiction writing coach. I help authors conquer overwhelm, finish their manuscripts, and release the books that God has called them to write. Did you know that the New York Times reported that 81% of the people say they want to write a book, but only 6% ever complete a draft, and then only 1% actually publish? And I am here to help you rise to that 1%. And today we're going to tackle one of the biggest mindset traps that can stop you from ever getting there, and that is comparison. So here's what comparison looks like for most writers. You're scrolling social media and you see another author talking about their release. Perhaps they've got a huge launch team, or you're just seeing graphics all over, or you just see them. That's all they're talking about. Or you look at their website and you think, wow, they got it all together. They must have had some professionals put that site together. And you start thinking, oh, she's better at writing. He's more educated. They've got more connections. They got a publishing deal. There's no way I'll catch up to all that. Well, when we stay in that mindset, it does not inspire us, it will paralyze us. And instead of writing, we start spiraling into the realm of self-doubt. I get it. Believe me, I've been there. When I was first working on my book called Wild Grace, which is a Bible study on the book of Hosea, I watched a lot of Christian Bible study teachers. I'll drop some names. You know them, Beth Moore, Joyce Meyer. They have big, huge platforms and they release a lot of Bible studies. I wanted to be like that. Well, let me tell you, I got shut down by overwhelm. I felt left out. I felt left behind. I thought, why would anybody want to do my Bible study when they could go do Beth Moore's or somebody else's? You just name it, any big person. All right, that you're doing their Bible studies. Well, that comparison almost left me out. Also, the same thing happened when I was writing my prayer book, Appeal to the Courtroom of Heaven. Robert Henderson was the big name. He was the one that was real big in teaching in the courts of heaven. It is because I was reading his books that I was inspired to write my book. But let me tell you, my book is not like his book. All right, some of the biblical foundations are, but my story is different than his story. But comparison almost kept me from finishing these books. Why? I had to realize that God wasn't asking me to write their book. He was asking me to write mine. And obedience to what God was asking me to do was the only thing that matters. Galatians chapter 6, starting with verse 4, I'm going to read 4 and 5, says that each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone without comparing themselves to someone else, for each one should carry their own load. All right? We're not to compare ourselves to someone else, or else we're not going to be able to carry our own load. We have to get before God and realize that we are a unique creation. And because there's nobody else created like me, nobody else is created like you have a unique assignment. Your story, your experiences, they're unique to you, and nobody could take that away from you. Frameworks may be the same, but your story is very different. And your readers are going to resonate with your story and what you have to share. Comparison is going to take your eyes off of your calling and put it on somebody else, wishing you were like them. You weren't made to be like them. And when your eyes are like them, you can't run your own race. We're each called to run our own race. All right, so you want an exercise? I want to share something with you. Here's something I want to ask you to try. The next time you feel like comparison is creeping in, because let me tell you, these are not once and done. These are everything that I'm sharing on this YouTube platform. These are not once and done uh, things. These are things that you're going to have to repeat over and over again because the enemy knows how to come back and set the traps on what worked for him before. He's going to come back and try it again. What we can do is we can get wiser to his schemes. Like it talks about in Ephesians 6, we're to get wise to his schemes. All right. So I want you to grab a notebook and I want you to write down this sentence. My assignment is not their assignment. Right? My assignment is not their assignment. My lane is, and then put it in. Like my lane is coaching nonfiction authors to write their book. All right. So my assignment is not their assignment. And then underneath that, after you write that sentence down, I want you to think about 3 ways your story is uniquely positioned to impact lives. And so, what does that mean? That means maybe you have walked through a season of grief. For me, it was the grief of having a son that's incarcerated. That is a grief like no other grief. All right. That's very unique. All right. I have a unique story in how I struggled to write for so long and how the enemy kept my voice silent. And now I'm able to position that to help coach other authors who are feeling the same overwhelm. All right. Maybe you've overcome addictions. Maybe you've overcome the addiction of a family member and you got through that season. Or maybe you have discovered God's faithfulness in financial struggles. All right. If you've lost a business, you felt had bankruptcy, I don't know. You have a story that is unique to you. In your story, that very thing that the enemy wants to shame you with is the very thing that God wants to use for you to help others. Because he promises in Romans 8:28 that he will work all things out for good for those who love him and are called according to his purpose. And then in 1 Corinthians or 2 Corinthians, I'm sorry, 2 Corinthians 1, it says that we are to comfort others with the same comfort we have received. So nobody else can do that like you. You are the only one. You are unique. So I want you to remember that your worth as a writer does not come from measuring yourself against others. It does not come from comparing where somebody else has been and to where they are now. All right. It comes from walking out faithfully what God has asked you to do. So let me ask you, what's the number one area you find yourself comparing yourself to on your writing journey right now? Where are you comparing? Are you comparing yourself to other authors about how many books they've written, the topics that they've written on, or what is it? Where are you comparing? Then I want you to write down what makes you unique, what makes you different than them. All right. Drop that in the chat. Will you share that in the chat? Will you share that in the comments below? And if this video has helped you, please share it with someone today. Share it with another writer today. Let's rise into that 1% together. And make sure that you subscribe because in the next video, we're going to talk about perfectionism and why trying to make it flawless or just perfect before we finish will actually keep you stuck. And my friend, that's how you rise to the 1%. God bless.